Brian Powell of I Run Far here with Gary Robbins before the 2013 UTMB. How you doing, Gary?
Very good, how are you?
I'm alright. You were here last year?
Yes.
You've seen a little bit of the course.
I saw all of the course.
Oh, you performed?
Yeah, I came for 3 weeks last year as a recon and spent 4 days going around the mountain 10 days prior to the race. And the thing I love about this area and this time of year is that you're guaranteed to get nice weather 2 weeks prior to the actual race date, but you need to fill beds at the end of the month. So it's always a bit finicky with the way the weather plays out at the end of August.
Speaking of which, it's damn nice out there right now.
It's incredible.
It's Thursday morning.
Yeah, we've got, what have we got, 24?
Less than 36.
Less than 36 hours to go.
30 hours.
30, yeah. And the forecast is great. It's looking like the first, I mean, cross our fingers, nothing crazy like a mudslide happens out of nowhere, but it's going to be the full regular course for the first time since 2009, if I'm not mistaken. It's great out there right now. Definitely cold at night, which is not a big deal. No precipitation forecast, so we're really fortunate this year.
It is a blessing out there. Having suffered through that cold, wet.
And we don't want to do an interview outside in really nice, sunny, mountainous conditions. We want to do it in...
the French artificial lighting is just...
And I mean, I've seen some pretty astute runners, some pretty stout runners sitting in this chair in interviews in the last few years, so I'm kind of flattered right now.
Yeah, you're in a good seat right there, Gary Robbins. But you've been having a great year. You had a very good run at Hurt. You had a good run over at UTMB. I would characterize them as good runs. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No doubt. I've had a great year. I'm really super pleased with how everything's played out. I've structured basically my last 12 months around this race since I was here last year. Last year for me, like I mentioned, was more of a recon than anything, and that I finished 53rd last year, and it took me about 2 weeks to come to terms with that, and I was proud of it about 2 weeks after the race, and I just showed up with a mind that was about 6 months ahead of my body in terms of fitness and recovery from my injuries, and it took me a while to recognize that. And when I look back on last year's race, I feel like I actually outperformed what my body had in it, so I'm proud of that. But I nearly DNF'd 4 or 5 times last year and just told myself that I was not going to drop out coming all this way to France. So it's nice for me, the last 12 months have been structured around the knowledge of what I gained last year to show up here healthy and fit and ready to race, and that's how my entire racing calendar was structured this year.
Now, having 12 months to really focus on one race is a blessing in some ways, is that you really get to plan it out, but it's also difficult, I think, in 2 ways. One is staying motivated, and the other is burning out or injuring yourself. So how did you battle those?
There was no issues staying motivated. That's the great thing about a race like this. I mean, when you have the default world championships for 100-mile ultra running, and you know the competition that's showing up, you wake up in the morning and you can think of one of 20 different guys that can really show you how it's done out here, and it doesn't take much to get motivated and get out the door. The injury and staying healthy bit, definitely difficult. And I've been really pleased with how that's played out as well, given the few years prior to that. I raced Hurt in January, as you mentioned, and UTMF at the end of April, and I self-imposed basically 3 weeks of very, very little downtime, or very, very little running after each of those events, and came out in that third week feeling really fresh and fit.
So you really did take, I mean, you had a structured 12 months, but you took rest during that 12 months.
Yeah, after Hurt, I felt like I could have been running 5-6 days later, just because you have a positive race and that adrenaline is still, it's coursing through your veins days afterwards, and you feel like you're invincible. And I had to talk myself down and stick with the plan, and I did, and I'm very thankful for that, because I sit here now knowing that I'm very fit and have no injury issues whatsoever.
Very good. There's some ridiculous competition here.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens with a race of this magnitude, and that attracts such an international field. And you can only have a race like this where you have guys like Timmy Olsen and Tony Kaprichka show up, and people actually question if they're going to make the podium in the race. So it really is an insane level of competition. And the thing that's great about UTMB is last year, if I'm not mistaken, 7 of the top 10 people were from different countries. I think that's what
something like that. Yeah.
You can't ask for a more balanced international field than that.
And it feels that same way again this year. I mean, Canada, North America, or US are well represented. Obviously, a lot of European countries, including some smaller ones. You have Hara from Japan.
Yeah.
And
Hara could really do some special things out here. I mean,
yeah. What was that like, seeing what he did?
So this was actually quite comical. At UTMF, I think we were about 20 miles in, 15 or 20 miles in, and it was a very steep ridge up and over. And as we came down, heading into an aid station, all of a sudden this runner just blows by me like he's running a 10K. And I think initially is he even in the race, and then I see the bib, and I just remember his bag hardly looked like it was attached to his back. It just was so much movement on his backpack. And I thought, oh, okay, he's a Japanese runner. And I had paid attention to the competition at the press conference the day before. He was not one of the people that was brought to attention. So I thought, oh, he must be looking for the accolades of being the first Japanese runner, and he's going to come in this aid station in third, and that'll be it. He'll fade, and he'll be lucky if he finishes. And 10 and 20 and 30 miles later, and all of a sudden there was an out and back, and he had 10 minutes on Julian, and I was in third at that place, and we both were like, wow, this guy's legit. And he, as we now know, is a 6.5, 6:33 100K runner, and he made up all his time. In UTMF, there's big, nasty climbs and ascents followed by long stretches of flat running, and that's where he just annihilated all of us. So he's a very, very talented and balanced runner, and I watched the interview last night. He's also very typical Japanese humble, but
yeah.
he could come away with the title this weekend.
So at Fuji, you were, I believe, fourth. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Behind Hara, Julien, and Sebastian Genot.
I actually was in second for at about 80, 85 miles. I passed Julien in the night on one of the mountain stages, and I got a little too excited when I wasn't expecting to catch him that quickly on this stage. And I think the adrenaline caught me, and I went a bit too fast over the next 5-6 miles, and then I paid a price. I made what I consider to be a rookie mistake that I don't normally make, and then I just really started to fade at about 85, and Julien passed me, and then Sebastian caught me, and it was funny because he's such a positive, happy person, and I didn't realize he spoke limited English. So I asked him if there were other runners with him, and he said, "Oh yes." And I thought there was a pack of runners just tracking me down, but what happened really in that race was that the course profile didn't match up exactly with what the race was. There was a few changes, and on that climb where Sebastian caught me, it looked like in my profile we were about to top out. And I said as much. I said, "Oh, we're almost at the top," and he laughed. He'd been there a month. He said, "No, the steepest climb is yet to come." So it was
deflating?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, at that point I was just in survival mode, and I was very pleased to hang on to fourth place ahead of Brendan Davies in the end.
Gotcha. This race is not quite so mixed in its terrain. There's a lot of up and down, pretty nice trail, but like what kind of shoes do you pull out for a race like that?
Solomon Sense Mantra. Those are my go-to shoes. Since the moment I put them on my feet, they just have a perfect fit for me, and it's a 6 mil drop, which I really like, and I consider it to be that perfect all-around shoe. So that's my go-to shoe for this race. And then in line with what you just said, I mean, this course really is just, depending on how you count it, 9, 10 climbs, so up and down, up and down, up and down. Some other guys have alluded to it. There's certainly a bit of running in between those climbs, but if you don't have the quad strength and resiliency to continue to go through those climbs, then it's a long day for you in the end.
Well, I hope you have a shorter day then. You think Friday and Saturday, and good luck out there.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Gary, quick bonus question for you.
I love the bonus questions.
Gotta love the bonus question.
Everyone waits. You're always waiting. You're expecting a bonus question now.
And you get one today.
Yeah.
Not many have come out so far in France. The beard.
It's pretty powerful, isn't it? I just noticed, like, you have a beard and all of a sudden the world looks at you differently. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but they definitely look at you differently. Hockey beard? That's right, yeah. My hockey team, the Edmonton Oilers, have missed the playoffs for 6 years now. So I'm
just in the NHL?
They're about to be relegated to the AHL. I've decided to grow a beard until they make the playoffs again, which I hope to God is this year.
Oh man, I don't want to see you at North Face 50 December.
No, the great thing about the beard was in June I was training really hard, and I had directed 4 events in 3 weeks, and I just was lazy and busy and I didn't shave, and all of a sudden my fiance just looked at me one day and she's like, "Keep the beard." And I thought, all right, we'll do it. Yeah, I know. Wow. And that's the funny thing. Everybody's like, "Is your fiance going to let you have that beard for the wedding?" And I'm like, "She's the one driving the beard bus right now." So,
all right.
Yeah.
Good call, Linda.